Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Our topic today is interactive ideas for product marketing. My name is Ravish Kamath and I am the VP of product for ShareDemos. ShareDemos is an enablement platform that Evangelists has created to help a lot of product marketing, technical marketing and sales enablement teams to manage their content with ease and for a variety of use cases. But first of all, a little bit of housekeeping. So all attendees will be in listen-only mode. We will be sending a recording of this webinar to you after we have uploaded it. And in case you do have questions regarding today's webinar, my email address is available towards the end of this presentation. And you can definitely send me questions and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So we get started with today's topic, interactive ideas for product marketing. So we start off first by defining, the overall organization. Any company that is a product kind of a company generally has, the product or the engineering that owns the code or literally the software, the marketing or the product management team owns the PRD, which is the requirements document. And then you have the sales team, which is more responsible for the sales goals, but product marketing at the end of the day owns the go-to-market or the GTM. That owns the GTM and the execution of the GTM. Now the go-to-market is made up of different things. It's made up of product positioning, messaging, pricing, some sort of revenue forecasting. Then there is a lot of core content for marketing, sales and channels, sales channels. And it also includes training content and more. There's a lot of software. There is probably a lot of asset creation. A lot of people treat product marketing as being only focused on creating data sheets and other types of product collateral, but the role is honestly a lot more. And today's webinar will really focus on a lot of content about how we can look at different interactive means of content and how we can help overall push the envelope when it comes to product marketing. So product marketing, for a lack of a better term, I would call our evangelists who will promote the product internally, externally, with partners, everywhere they go. They're probably going to be seen taking a stage, explaining the solution. They're going to be seen at an event or a kiosk, leading a demo. They're going to be seen doing webinars, like myself. They're going to be seen as much as possible in the public eye. They're going to be internal, they're going to be external. They're pretty much leading sales kickoffs, sales events, and everywhere. And the whole idea is that they are evangelizing the product. And then you also have a part of the product team which is also working to make a lot of understanding about their product and their domain easy to understand for the general public and helping the overall digital marketing campaigns generate better leads. So it's all about communicate. It's all about communication. So one of the primary things a product marketing person has to do is to place the product in a box. And when we say place the product in a box, we are talking about all users generally want to know where the product fits in, because why? The users want to compare you. They want to understand what is different about you. They want to understand what you are selling. So users are very often uncomfortable with products that do not have a clear positioning or placement. So if you're selling a web content management system, they want to know that it is a content management system. If instead you try to message it differently, they generally often land up confusing people. They may not be interested in more conversations with you. And generally that leads to a very weak pipeline. So generally to place your product, one of the key tenets about placing a product is to raise awareness, to establish research reports where you're comparing yourselves with someone, you're getting profiled in a Gartner Magic Quadrant or a Forrester Wave. You're having case studies where you're kind of stating the product or what the product impact was and a lot of those things. So you're trying to do a host of these assets and materials to basically place yourself in a box. Now, the second concept is, and this is probably a little more true for companies that are trying to break the mold or perhaps trying to create new domains or concepts. The main idea is to never assume that your client knows everything. It is always nice to have some sort of a simplification for concepts and domains. And typical ways to do this are through microsites, animations, helpful video explainers, animated video explainers. Sometimes people choose to do some evaluation type of apps like quizzes, checklists to actually help people get there in their thinking on what a concept is or what a domain is. And the third piece is all about showing your product. Very often we see that a lot of companies hide their product behind a lot of text, which therefore leads to a very reduced engagement with the end user, and many times the user might just walk away. So the key here is to get to product screens, show them that the product's real in some fashion. Generally, offline demos is a good way to go. Canned demos is a good way to go. All of these basically allow you to see that the product's real, that the business promise, the value that you have on your website is actually delivered. And of course, the last piece is actually showing the ROI. And the ROI is generally done through these return on investment kind of calculators, some sort of tools, graded tools, or in some cases, a lot of people allow you to just access one part of the report to grade, just run one sample report and you can see what the report is and decide if that's of value to your business. So there are these different mechanisms that people have used over the last few months, recent times to showcase their products. And we have selected a few of them to showcase as part of today's demonstration. But before I go there, one of the things that we see, we talked about, Share Demos, which is the enablement platform. But there is a very interesting background to Share Demos, which is our parent company, that is Evangelists. Evangelists is a digital agency. We've been based out of the Bay Area for the last 12 years, and we have been working closely with a lot of high-tech companies and working closely with their product marketing, technical marketing teams. And very often we deal with these companies and teams within these companies who basically have similar requirements. Whereas the requirement is generally more asset-based, where people ask you to create an infographic or a case study or a research report or a microsite. Very often what we have found is that having a helpful dialogue as to what the true objective of a asset is generally leads to either a far better maybe asset in that same format, or sometimes we've seen actually that the concept changes to a whole different type of interactive app. In some cases, it's become a mobile app. In some cases, a mobile app in case of an event, a companion app. In some cases, it has led to a new virtual reality experience in a kiosk in an event in Moscone, San Francisco. In some cases, maybe we found out that the app or the idea itself wasn't worth doing. So our experiences have been varied. And that is the kind of background from which, we have culled some of these examples and are showcasing them to you live in our webinar today. So let's go take a look at some of the examples. But before we do, this is the whole premise that the product marketing team is creating a lot of content which can be consumed by end users. The whole premise is end users are not looking at just plain boring old text. Now they are looking at different ways in which they can consume content. Maybe it's a demo, maybe it's a quiz, maybe it was an RFP generator, maybe it was a decision support tool, maybe it was a how-to demo, maybe it was a checklist app. So there are many, many myriad ways in which people are consuming content, and we'll start taking a look at some of these examples here. Here's an example of Virtual SAN, which is a product by VMware, and the main objective of this, this is a format what we call the infographic type. The whole idea behind this was to showcase different features of virtual SAN and try to break the mold about virtual SAN in terms of few key features. And now you can see it's an interactive interactive infograph. So there is a little bit of narrative, which is, what is the state of converged infrastructure today? What are the typical, features that it has? You're basically raising the pain points or awareness about the area. And once you have established that, you're trying to then map it down to actually saying, hey, here's how we are answering the converged infrastructure's limitations. And the answer is hyper-converged infrastructure, it is HCI. And so you have each of these stories. You can see that every time you go through one, the corresponding pain point just goes away. If you say it's complex management, we will say we have a single interface. If you say it was expensive upgrades, we say we have enhanced flexibility. If you say it was application downtime, we say we have a software-defined architecture. So you see the story is kind of flowing in for a user who is not really aware of this, but is now actually beginning to understand this product better. So this is an interactive infographic. This is a format that a lot of product marketing teams use to break the mold around a concept, around a known issue in the domain, and help basically raise the performance or the awareness of their own product. Now, similarly, when you're trying to raise awareness, most often a technique adopted by a lot of businesses, this is Dell's Future Ready campaign, is to actually raise questions and let's see if the user actually believes that they are indeed ready for certain things. Now, again, with each story, there comes a little bit requirement. And again, this is what I would call an interactive infographic or a microsite. And again, it is following its own story. So, companies have been doing this for a while. People used to do passive infographics, but nowadays, as technology is moving, as computers are getting powerful, as browsers are getting more powerful, the ability of companies to present information in non-standard format, which is just going beyond text, actually allows users to experience and understand product information in a very different fashion than how they used to do it maybe about 2-3 years ago or 5 years ago. So this is another example by a search company called Algolia. So they provide search as a service, not just software as a service. It's search software as a service. So it's pretty easy to use. We are happy customers of Algolia, but this is one of the graders that Algolia built out, which was called the Algolia Search Grader. Now, this is a very interactive experience. I think this is one of the most well-done apps that I've seen. But if you were to, start off the experience by saying, let's go ahead and grade a specific site, they basically walk you through a set of questions. Does your search provide an as and type view experience? I would say, yep, we provide an as you type search experience. So you see the user is being asked constantly a set of questions, and, and we can keep going and owing. And ultimately what lands up happening is the user is presented with some sort of a score, a report, which they can email to themselves and basically see, or in case they want to see how to improve a specific search experience, they can actually read up a little more on how they can do it, what are the key takeaways and stuff like that. Now again, one of the things that Algolia has done so well with this is that they are not talking about their software itself, but of course they're playing to their software strengths. And but it is never ever there completely that they are implicitly recommending your product. You can truly assess the state of your search software solution today and decide if this is probably a good enough software for you to go ahead with or not. Another great example of interactive app. This is again from VMware. This is the software-defined data center overview. Obviously, a slightly more complex product, but you need to really explain to the technology people how your product works. This is what we call an interactive diagram. and it basically, follows a specific step. It zooms in. There is a little bit of story. It kind of tells you how the whole thing is working, and you can keep changing the story as you go and follow along with the user. A more technical user can kind of understand what's really going on in this diagram. Imagine this in a trade show, in a kiosk, in a event, and you'll understand a lot better about how people are consuming content and how they are all interacting with different pieces of content. This is just another example. Now let me take you through to another example, which is an Oracle's example. Oracle Marketing Cloud obviously was promoting a concept around modern marketing work. And they wanted to build, they wanted to demonstrate how they could optimize the whole integrated marketing and sales funnel so that, it has an impact on the overall top line revenue. So basically they set the stage by saying that, hey, here is a overall standard lead funnel which starts with suspect to inquiry, going all the way to the 5th stage of sales qualified lead, which leads to a closure. And then they said, okay, let's actually break this problem down and say, what is your current funnel and what your optimized funnel could look like? And with marketing automation platforms and average processes, what's the lift you can see? And the idea is that eventually you should see what your numbers today are, and with marketing automation platform, what the difference is. Now again, a pretty cool calculator to bring out the value. And this is just another way in which people kind of establish their value. So we saw some apps which were all about maybe breaking down technical concepts into simpler mechanisms. We saw an example of an interactive microsite. We saw examples of how ROI is demonstrated, and we also saw about an example where there is an interactive question and answer session which leads to a certain recommendation, and again how you use content. So there are a lot more examples of how content is being used and how people are creating more interactive apps. But unfortunately, that's pretty much the time we had for today's webinar. So if you do have questions or any, if you want to brainstorm a little bit about how we could help you create your next interactive app, please do reach out to us. My email is here on the screen, and we'll be more than happy to help you out in your journey. All right, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much.